Hey, Brown Girl Banter.
Hey, Brown Girl Banter.
Hey, we're back.
Look at us. We're back.
Yeah, we're doing. And we have another guest.
And we have a guest again
Yeah.
for this episode.
Yeah.
Do you want to share who you are, guest?
Of course, I am Nyla Walters. I'm Patience's niece, and I'm also a 19-year-old college student, and I'm so excited to be here today.
No,
We are excited to have you.
I know. You look so cute today, boo.
Thanks, I dressed up for this.
Well, we were excited to bring Nyla on because we have been talking a lot about, Lucretia and I, just in our spare time, about our young adults, our college kids.
Yeah.
We've been talking pre-college kids. I don't know, I've probably shared before that both of my girls go to therapy because I think they have a little social anxiety, and so me being a therapist, I jump on that super early because that matters to me, and I want to make sure that they have coping skills and that therapy is normal for them, and so we talk about that often. And so while we couldn't bring a 9-year and 5-year-old on, my niece
We had to make sure that she could consent.
Exactly. My dear sweet niece, who we'll talk to about a little bit, a college student, because we have been seeing a rise. I remember, I don't know about you, when I was in college, that we saw kids who would leave maybe after the first semester or like the first year, and we find out later it's because they were struggling with anxiety or depression or something like that. And so we know parents out there who might be watching, or people who are not as age watching, and so we kind of want to normalize it and kind of have some discussion around it as well.
Yeah.
So now you want to tell us a little bit about your experience with whatever you want to talk about regarding your experience at college and being a 19-year-old trying to manage life.
Yeah, of course. So I'm 19 years old, but a couple months ago I was 18 and I was headed off to college, or so I thought. And I spent about 2 weeks there and then headed on home. Had a panic attack actually. Then headed on home.
Okay.
And it just really was an eye-opener to me about all the things that I had been ignoring previous to then. Because when you get in college and you're on your own, you're by yourself a lot and you're dealing with a lot of things basically as an adult, and a lot of things come up for you that you didn't realize were going on for you. And so I did have to go home, and I went home for a little bit. I did like a gap semester type of thing where I just worked. And then I went to Columbia State actually for about a month before I was admitted into Renfrew, which is an eating disorder treatment facility. So I've just been caught in a whirlwind of like, wow, this is like adulting and this is real. And I didn't realize that I had all these things going on until I left. So it was just eye-opening, to be honest.
And I hear stories about like from young ladies when they talk about that it's that transition from high school to I'm supposed to be an adult, I'm gonna go away to college. Right. I may know people, but I may not know people. How do I, what happens once they take, my parents take me, drop me off, and I'm in here maybe with a roommate that I don't know, don't get along with, might have something. Or what do I do? How do I go to class? How do I make sure to set myself up for success? And I even heard one young lady, she said, I didn't even know how to maneuver around campus. Who do I go talk to if I'm having this issue or I need to know something? And she's like, no one told me that before I left. So I was kind of trying to figure, and I think she didn't figure out she could go to student services until the end of her second semester in school, and that was because a therapist said to her, well, have you checked in the student services? She's like, what is student services and where is it?
Exactly.
And it happened that the therapist was going to be up on campus. She was like, just meet me here and I'll help you navigate. Because the therapist was like, oh my God. She said, because she had her own daughter that was away at school and had been away. And she's like, oh, what if my daughter was somewhere and didn't know how to get somewhere? What would I want for somebody to do for her? So she was like, I'll just, I can meet you, and she wasn't her therapist. She was actually a friend. And she was like, I'll meet you. I gotta be up on campus to do something.
Mhm.
She said, I'll just meet you and show you where student services. Because the young lady was like,
I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
How was that 2 weeks for you when you went away to school?
I think for me personally, it wasn't too bad just because I was there for 2 weeks. And my parents stayed for a week. And so I did have the privilege of having my parents be like, this is where this is where that is. And I also did end up at my mother's alma mater. So she knew where everything was.
Okay.
And so that really wasn't a struggle for me. Now when they left, it was a little bit harder because you do have to, I had to memorize where everything was. I had to know my schedule. I had to figure out what I was gonna eat that day, how to get around, and it was up to me. Like I didn't know anything, and my roommate I wasn't close to my roommate, so I was kind of just like asking around class, trying to figure it out. But it was really challenging and really difficult once I was on my own because I felt like my parents had kind of put me on. I was on the schedule at home with my parents, with my family, and now it's like I have to create my own schedule, and I think that was like really hard for me, really difficult. Yeah.
So you said that you kind of like had a panic attack. So I know the answer to this, but our listeners don't, or viewers don't, and I don't know if Dr. Dangerfield does, but so you've been struggling with anxiety prior to this panic attack. So tell us a little bit about how you identified that, because we might have
that's what it was. That
who
was
might
going
not
on.
know.
I've actually been struggling with anxiety forever, actually, but I did not know how bad it was after I moved to Nashville, and I was living with my aunt, and she was like, I think you need to be on meds. And I was like, I don't really, no, I got this. I did not. And so I did get on meds, and so I had noticed the signs of a panic attack. I think I had so many already.
Okay.
But for me, it was honestly, I had a fight with my roommates. And that was like the ending point for me because I never wanted to be there in the first place. I did go for my parents. Never do that. Never do anything for your parents. Like don't live up to your parents' expectations, which sounds terrible, but I'm saying that because you have to live for you. You cannot live for your parents. And so I was like, I just don't want to be here. I got into a fight with my roommate, and I just remember my brain spiraling. I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is my last straw. I never wanted to be here in the first place. This is a sign I'm not supposed to be here. And I just remember like a full panic came over me because I was like, I don't fit in. I don't belong. My parents promised me something from an HBCU that I'm not being provided. I should have listened. I should have listened to myself first. I should have handled this roommate situation better. What am I doing? I'm such a mess up. And I just remember being like, obviously shortness of breath and immediately tears. And I was just like, you gotta pick me up. You gotta. And I never came back.
Well, that was good that you knew, like say, okay, and in that moment start using your voice, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, okay, no, this is not working for me. I need you to come get me. I need to go back home.
Yes, ma'am.
Instead of like, pushing through.
You know, I was gonna say it, that the stigma.
Stigma of I have to push through to meet other people's expectations.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that for me, I've been doing it for so long in my life, so it was just a habit. Like I've done it forever. I'm the oldest child, so being the oldest.
She relates to
that. Comes with a whole.
Yes. That comes with a whole nother thing.
Yes.
So here's you, oldest. So much fun. I'm the oldest daughter, and that's completely different than being the oldest boy. That is not the same as being the oldest boy.
You said
Thank you. And so it was just a lot of expectations I felt from me as being the oldest of like, this is what my parents want from me. This is what they picture. It's not what I want, but let me try the best to do it and maybe it'll be okay. And so like even with my college process, my dad did my whole Common App. Preface though, I try to do it myself, everybody. Don't think that I was the lazy girl that didn't want to do her Common App.
I tried.
I wanted to do my Common App. My daddy said to me, you don't know what to do. And it was just like, that's how when I expressed my interest in PWIs, because I did. If I was honest with myself, I wanted to go to an SEC school with people I knew, with my friends from high school. I wanted to apply to UTKs and Bamas, but it wasn't encouraged by my family. So if that's not what my parents want, guess what? I wasn't going. So I toured all those HBCUs, and I was like, I don't like any of these. I picked the one that I hated the least. Don't do that. And And so, yeah, I think it was just a lot of expectations of wanting my parents to be like, look at this, like, you did a good job.
Yeah.
And I think that really affected all my decisions. And I had a breaking point when I got there, and I was like, what am I doing? I did all of this for what? I hate it here. I'm miserable. I gotta speak up. And I think that was really a shifting point for me, because it was just like, how did I get here? Like, how did I get to the pleasing point, or all this pressure on me, to the point where I felt like I had to end up here at a college where I'm having a panic attack, I don't feel comfortable, and I don't feel like I can be myself. Let's start using a voice. And that was really a big shift for me.
That's good.
That is good.
That's
And
good.
I mean, so how many youth probably struggle with that?
Because it's still like the voice that they're questioning, like, can I say it? Should I say it? If I say it, how's it going to be accepted? And
Right.
being able to, but having the strength and the courage to say, you know what? My voice is here. I got to use it, one, to like save myself from going down this path that, people wake up 30, 40 years old talking about, this is not the life I wanted.
Exactly. We see that all the time. All the time.
It's not how I thought my life would be. I hate my job. And then
Yes.
you're like, well, why are you still doing it? Because
Right.
somebody else's expectation
Yes.
is placed them.
And I think that moment, right? Like that is a moment of the stigma that we talk about so much of being strong, pushing through. And then we're, like we said, we get older, we're 40, and we're still carrying the weight of thinking that's how we have to show up in every situation.
Yes.
And so if you catch it now, moms, dads, youth, anybody catch it now, like, I don't have to always show up strong. I don't always have to push through. I can use my voice that can, decrease or maybe even stop any of that false narrative.
Yes, it will help.
Right.
That you have to be strong and just push
You don't
through,
have
and even though it's miserable, which is ancestral, right? We know
Yeah.
that that's just kind of.
It's just like in our history, which is like something that I'm really grateful for, because like even being in treatment, I look at women who are 30, 35, and they're like, you should be so grateful that you have the opportunity to do this at 19, where you're not an adult and you're having to take off time of work and you have kids now, and you have to worry about how what you were doing for so long has affected your kids. And I was like, that is so true. Like, these women are getting a second chance, but it's coming so late.
Yes.
And and I'm like, I am grateful that I have this moment now, and I have the resources and I have the support of family, friends, whatever, where I can be like, no, I'm gonna get the help now. I'm gonna make a change now, because I've totally, like, that strong narrative is not me anymore. I can't hold on to it anymore. I'm not strong. I've been strong before, but I am not strong. Give me all you got, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Somebody been to treatment. I hear you, girl.
Because even when you're talking about your strength is coming from a different place, because you are like showing up like, I'm using my voice, I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to share what's me, and showing up in your authentic self, being able to do that. Because like you said, it's other people that's like in their 30s, 40s, they, so that means they got they got 14 plus more years on you, where they're like, I wish I had this at 19.
Right.
No, I'm thinking of myself.
That self-awareness,
Uh-huh.
that ability to say, hey, this is what is going to be best for me.
Okay.
And I know it.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
So one of the things you also talked about, and I don't want us to like let time escape, you talked about going to treatment. And so one of the things you told me that you wanted to share was just about the acceptance of having to do that, and that journey, and how you've evolved from that. So do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about it?
Yeah, of course. So I've been in treatment since February 13th. My last day is Thursday.
Congratulations!
I'm gonna start crying because I'm so excited. But I've been struggling with my eating habits since I was 12, which is crazy to think about. When I see 12-year-olds now, it breaks my heart that I was that young. But it didn't really get bad to my freshman year of high school. I just was very avoidant. I was very avoidant, using my terms that I learned.
You are. Because I'm like, she knows.
I was very avoidant. I did not like to feel anything. I was bullied a lot, and I grew up in a predominantly white area.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of growing up was like, I would get bullied, and it was like, don't let it hurt you. If you give them something, if you cry, don't let them see you. My thing was like, don't let them see you sweat. And that was ingrained in me in a very early age. And so I was using all these other coping skills because I didn't want to feel. And so the eating was one of those things where if you have an eating disorder and you're this thin girl in this predominantly white environment, nobody said anything to me. Nobody was concerned. Nobody was worried. I had close friends who would watch my eating habits, be like, Nyla. But then it would also be like, but you look so beautiful. And so I was like, well, then there's not a problem. And I was also like, I felt like I had to fit in with them. I was like, I needed to make myself smaller. I had to assimilate in order to protect myself because I did not want to get hurt again. And I didn't even realize I had an eating disorder. Until I think a couple months into my senior year, my psychiatrist was like, why don't you go see a dietitian? And I was like, no. You see how I look right now? I look great. I'm not doing it. And that's how it went for months. And I think that with an eating disorder, you always think you have control because you are controlling what you are eating. So you're like, oh, I got this. This isn't going to slip away from me. Before I knew it, it slipped away from me. None of my clothes fit anymore. I couldn't function. My brain was foggy. I couldn't stand up. I was dizzy all the time. Half of my face was always vibrating or numb. I completely had all the symptoms of malnutrition. And my dietitian was like, look, I can treat you, but I don't think this level of care, this outpatient level of care is gonna work. And I entered treatment and it changed my life. It really did. Because I didn't know I had an eating disorder. I didn't think I was as bad as those people you saw on TV. I was like, I'm not like those other girls. Those girls on TV, I'm not like them. I'm not like that white girl. And I think I was embarrassed. I was like, I don't want to tell my parents this. And I think that it was the stigma around the black girl having an eating disorder, a black girl being weak. Like the eating disorder to me and going into treatment was representation that I had lost. And I think that was really hard for me.
Okay, that was good. Wow. And I was saying, I think me and Dr. Dangerfield, and me and you have talked about this too, and my friend who works in eating disorder treatment center says like, if it's not a thin white girl, nobody's paying attention.
Right, because that's who you see. That's like you said. You didn't see a thin black girl on television. That was not that's not somebody. Don't talk about it. I know one young therapist that was like her area of expertise was actually working with black girls that had eating disorders because she started like hearing the stories and the symptoms and she was like, there's more. So she started doing more work around it. That's what helped her to like get out there and start doing. So because people don't. They don't see it.
They don't see it. Especially in the black community. I think it's I feel like in the black community, people always are like being fat is bad or being big is always related to all these things by doctors of diabetes and whatever. You're unhealthy. And so it's like we're always trying to be thin. We're always trying to be like, oh, she big. And it's like, it's just so much pressure. And also as a black girl, when you're in a predominantly white environment, I also heard it from another girl, like girls like you think to yourself, you're like, I can't be this and black. I can be black, but I cannot be fat and black. I cannot be weird and black. I cannot be nerdy and black. I can't be ugly. I can be black, but I can't be anything else.
Yes, that is.
And so it's like, cause it's like, it almost feels like being black and those things is against you. So it's like, I can't.
Because that's the battle that you're actually fighting. To show up as like, I have to show up because I'm black, but being penalized in those spaces because of the color of your skin.
Right. Yeah. And so it was just a lot of that. And I just see it all the time. And I wish more people would talk about it because a lot of black girls do have eating disorders, but their families or people around them are normalizing them because everybody's so worried about fitting into society or fitting into this one type of body. And not everybody's supposed to be the same body type. And so that was like...
I've been to treatment.
I have. And so that was a really hard pill to swallow. But it was definitely... That's something that I want to bring awareness to because I feel like a lot of black girls I know struggle with that as well.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah. So what would you tell parents, right? Like if you have a daughter, son, right, who might have we're questioning, or what should we be? And I mean, everything's different. Y'all know that. We say that all the time.
Yeah.
But what, I mean, you spoke really well about how your panic attack looked. I thought that was really great with symptoms. And even your eating disorder symptoms, you spoke really well. But what is something you think like we can do to help our children feel, our college kids feel safe, or what?
Or even that 12-year-old.
How about that? That's
Yeah.
right.
That 12-year-old that's questioning, or like saying, ooh, or feeling like they have to, abstain or to binge. Because I know some younger girls, they haven't made it to teenage years, but they tend to they'll overeat and they stop eating. Overeat,
Right.
stop eating.
Which totally messes up your GI tract, by the way.
Yeah.
So don't do that, because you will pay for it on the toilet later when you are going into recovery. Also, I think the biggest thing I would say for parents is give your kids space. I remember my psychiatrist said to me, parents have a hard time realizing that when they bring a child into the world, it's a stranger. You don't know this kid. And I think that once you start looking at your kids as separate human beings and separate entities, you guys are connected as a family, but you guys, they're different from you. And I think when you realize, giving them the space to figure out who they are and affirm their feelings and affirm their experiences, it gives them a lot more space to be like, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's going on with me, because they know that you're going to take it seriously and that it's important to you. And I also would just say education is a big thing. A lot of people don't know a lot about mental health. There's a lot of stigmas, and I've gotten my feelings hurt a couple times by a couple people because they just don't know, and they say things a little loose. So always make sure to BetterHelp, look up the definition on Google and just be ready, because it happens.
Know what you're talking about.
Yeah, know what you're talking about when they come to you. And even if you don't, be like, look, I don't understand, but let me look into it. Let me find somebody else who knows. Let me look into therapy. Just all around creating a safe space, I really feel helps your kid be open and can eliminate some of the struggles that I went through because I was so scared to use my voice.
That was so good.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah.
I think that part, especially you don't know them, so allowing.
That was
we have our ideas.
They
and
are
our beliefs.
individuals.
Yes, and so giving them the space to identify that, understand that, and
They're not many me. They're not many you. That's what I heard you say. It's your child is not a mini you.
Exactly.
They have their own personality, all of that. So let them stand in their individually.
I agree.
Right.
That was good. Thank you so much, Nyla,
Thank
for being here.
Thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
I'm glad. That was good. Well, hey, you know what to do. Comments, questions, let us know. If you have questions for Nyla, DM us or drop a comment and we will get them to her so that she can answer those for you. Any parting thoughts, Dr. Dangerfield?
No, well, thank you for most definitely sharing your story. And if you didn't get anything else out of here, use your voice.
Use your voice and your resources. Exactly.
Yes.
Also. Well, I do have a quick question for you. Do you think you're ready now for college?
I am ready for college. I'm not ready to go away though. So I'm going to do community college.
Okay.
So my degree is very important to me, but I don't feel the pressure anymore to go away. So I'm just going to stay here for a little while. Enjoy Nashville for all it's worth.
Awesome. Listen to that, guys. See? So give your children space to figure it out.
Yes.
Trust what you put in them and that they can figure it out.
I think, and you just said something, I don't think the parents trust what they want.
That's probably part of the problem. Did I do it right?
Right, that's the question. It's anxiety from the parents that's showing up.
So if you need therapy, if you need to talk to somebody, DM us or let us know so we can get a referral.
As always,
Yeah, so we can help you with your own insecurity and your own worry about your children. Thanks so much for being with us, Brown Girl Banter, and you know how to find us.
On Instagram, I am Dr. Dangerfield.
You can find me at I am Dr. Patience, and you can find us both.
I am Brown Girl Banter.
And you know to go on YouTube, subscribe, like, share, comment, all the amazing things. And you can find us on YouTube where?
Brown Girl space Banter.
We look forward to hearing from you all. Take care. Bye, Brown Girl Banter.
Bye.